This is the number one thing that every reseller out there has to do, no matter what, to make sure you're not going to get in trouble. Hey, it's Don. Today we're talking about the number one thing that you gotta do if you are doing reselling as a business, and that is reporting your income. Many times people will think it can be considered a hobby, even if they are making a profit and paying their bills. I've had quite a few people tell me they don't have to file because they're going to report it as a hobby and profits from a hobby. Now, that's not how it works. If you're doing this and using that money to pay your bills and not for the hobby itself, you have to report it as income. This is one of the biggest things people don't think they need to do, especially with a lot of new folks hopping onto eBay to make some extra money during the pandemic. You still have to report all of that as income. Even if it's stuff from around your house you're selling and you're making a profit on it to pay your bills, it is not a hobby, it is income. Now, I know people say, I bought it, I should be able to sell it. That's fine and dandy. If you keep the receipt, you can use the expense of the item for the expense of your business. So if you didn't make any money back off of it, you don't have to report it as income. That's the difference. But most people don't save those receipts, so you can't use the receipts to show what you paid for it. That's part of the aspect of this. It's technically a business, though, if you are using it to pay your bills unrelated to any hobby. Now, I am not an accountant, but what I can recommend to most people out there is many accountants in your area will do an initial first consultation for free. I went to several of them myself before I picked one. Didn't cost me a dime. I wrote out my questions. I knew what I wanted to ask. When I went in there, I hit them up and got every single one of my questions answered in that time frame from a duly appointed accountant. Even though it's a free consultation, his advice is just as good either way you go. So the point of it is you can at least figure out where you stand in this. And I would honestly recommend most people out there talking to an accountant or having one to do your taxes, especially for those who have never done a business before. Now we're going to look at one of the major forms that comes out, which is a 1099-K, and that's out right this very second. eBay's got them out for those under managed payments. Now for those who are just on PayPal, chances are if you hit over certain marks, you did get a 1099-K from them already. If you're full-time, chances are you've been getting them for a while if you've been getting set amounts. Let's look at a 1099 now and show you what we're talking about. So with the 1099-K, which is a third-party payer, basically if someone is collecting money from you and you hit certain marks, they have to send you one of these forms legally. So as a third party, PayPal's a third party, eBay is a third party, Amazon's a third party, Etsy's a third party, Poshmark, all of those are third party companies. They don't have to be a banking company, it just has to be a third party that collects the funds for you. Now you have to hit certain marks here, which you can see here in the middle of the page where the mouse is flying around. Gross payments that exceed $20,000 and more than 200 such transactions. If you hit both of those marks within a year, they have to send you a form. Now, I've had people tell me, well, I didn't hit that mark, I didn't get a form, so I don't have to report it. This is just for that company, whoever's giving you the money or collecting it for you, to send you one, to be required to send you one. If you don't hit those marks, they don't have to send you one, but you still have to declare the money. That's a big misconception I've heard I don't know how many times. Ignorance of the law in these cases is no excuse at all. So you've got to be careful and make sure you understand that. Now, if you get a 1099-K and don't report it, they're going to know. This is reported by PayPal or eBay, whoever, to the government. They fill out this and send a copy of it to the government. Now, this is what the 1099-K looks like from 2020 last year. It'll have who took the money, who you are, the payee, the whole works. It's going to have some other information, but it'll have all the totals filled out here. So month by month, it'll have all the money collected for you in that month time frame. Now, what's reported on here varies by the company. From what I read, most companies report every dime that is processed in your name. From what I've seen on eBay's page, they may not be reporting your sales tax on this, which could be an issue for me, in my opinion. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, so I'm going to leave all that stuff up to my accountant or, whoever the case may be. But this is what the form actually looks like. So there's not much to it. There's some instructions at the bottom. This is just the part that matters here. It's going to be all filled out for you when you get it. It's not something you have to deal with other than inputting the information or turning this over to an accountant or tax preparer. Now, if you're like us in selling multiple platforms, you may have multiple copies of this from different companies to begin with. Those all are added together onto your taxes, of course, at some point. So they all have to be reported separately. Now, the IRS does go into hobby or business very specifically and talks about things you can look at to determine whether it's a business versus a hobby. If you are using the money to pay your bills that aren't related to the hobby, it's a business. Just literally by what this says. Now, you can make a small amount of profit from your hobby and then write off up to that profit some of your expenses for the hobby. You can't claim it as a hobby expense if you're intentionally making a profit from that to pay anything besides the hobby aspect of it. I've had so many conversations with people who tell me that's not how it works, but yet they've never talked to an accountant or a lawyer to actually verify what they're saying. It's very explanatory on here. It goes into the limits, what you can expense out on a hobby. Hobbies are very, very tricky, and for a hobby, you should 100% talk to an accountant also. You also have to itemize to do hobby as that way. So if you're doing an easy form and not itemizing and trying to declare something as a hobby, it's not going to work. So be very, very careful. Again, if you are using the money to pay your bills, that is not how it works. You can't do that. Hobby is just for the hobby. A profit would go back into the hobby only. It would not be pulled out to go somewhere else. That would be a business. There's a lot of factors. They even have a list of 9 factors. Going over the list can be a little confusing to many people I've talked to. The wording on it isn't the best. One of the biggest ones, though, if the income from the activity is used for your livelihood, then it's not a hobby. Your livelihood would be paying your electricity, paying your phone, paying car insurance, a car note, house payment, rent. Anything that you would need to live on is not a hobby. So the minute you cross that border, you've already determined it's not a hobby, and you can be in some trouble when you go ahead and declare it as a hobby and it's not. Be honest, just report it. It's not worth the hassle to come back. I can speak of specific examples of people that I have known who didn't file at all for years and sold on eBay, made tens of thousands of dollars every year, and thought, hey, there's no way anybody's ever going to find out. One of them went to jail. Another one actually had to pay back, I don't know how much money, but he was in debt forever after that. Couldn't buy a house, couldn't get any cars. It ruined his credit. They garnished his wages. It's just not worth your reputation, your risk, or anything else like that to do something like that. Now, with the 1099-K, that whole amount reported on there isn't going to be your income. You can deduct all of your expenses, any taxes or anything else like that, fees, your COGS, cost of the goods actually sold, and all of that sort of thing. Those sheets also don't account for, many cases, chargebacks, returns, refunds, and things like that. So eBay does have a reconciliation page, as does PayPal. PayPal has had it forever. That's another area where many people miss out on. I've had many people say they have just printed off the 1099-K and turned that over to their accountant, and they never printed off or even knew there was any sort of reconciliation form that went with that can account for chargebacks and things that happened after the initial payments. This is one of those things that's missed by most people that I know that's never run a business before. They have no idea that it's a reconciliation form after that, and that everything may not be on that 1099-K form when you get it. So again, there's usually something that goes with it. eBay's is called a financial statement. It can be found in the hub under the payments tab under a smaller tab called statement. That's how you get their reconciliation, their financial statements. With PayPal, it's actually in the document section. It's right near where the 1099-K is downloadable from PayPal. Most sites offer it availability fairly easy, so That's another one of those aspects you need to pay attention to. You need to get credit for those sorts of things when you've paid somebody back and it may not be on your 1099. That's one of those things I've always done. Whether I've worked for somebody else or run my own business, I always make sure to balance those out. Many times if you're not, you're missing. You're paying taxes on things that you actually didn't need to pay taxes on. Again, that's why it comes down to an accountant with this. I am no way a tax professional. I've done my own business taxes before. I've worked for companies and I've done a ton of that stuff as well too, but I talk to people. It's so much easier just to hand it over to somebody else, pay them the fee it is, and not have to worry about something going on with it. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some idea, some thought on this. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
I'm the Micro Machine Man, and this is the Seriously Small Micro Machine Service City, the perfect place to take your micros for serious servicing. This place has it all. Movable garage doors, liftable lifts, simply amazing service bay, two-level parking, and a totally terrific turning turntable in the super showroom. The service here is simply stupendous. Micro Machine Service City from Loope. The Micro Machine Man here, and I'm coming clean about the all-new Micro Machine Car Wash City. It's the best way to clean your micro machine. Drive into the vacuum area, then move your micros through the real rotating rollers. Now this car's really clean, team. Take your perfectly polished micros up the little elevator to the tippy top where you find a rotating stack shop.
Micro Machines Car Wash City, Service City sets, and vehicles sold separately. Some assembly required from Galoob.
Remember, if it doesn't say Micro Machine, it's not the real thing.